everyone, Nick here with What Game Now. We are back. So, apologies, let me flip the lights on here. I'll put the lighting a bit. So, just to quickly summarize what we've done so far, we have gotten our models from box to, at this point, I have completed the assembly process using the tips and process I described in the last video. Now, one thing I forgot to mention there that I do want to mention now is bases. Basing is something that we're going to come on to later. It is important to note and think about your basing when you're assembling your models, because it might be important to do some stuff for your basing now. In this case, the white stuff you're seeing is drywall compound or spackle. It's going to give some texture to the base so it's not completely flat. It's got a little more visually interesting to look at. Either way, we have complete assembly with our miniatures. I'm going to go ahead and just continue with the heavy gear models here. Out of the way, so we can get our video done fairly quickly. So, the next thing we need to do is prime the miniatures before we begin painting them. If you've ever painted a house or a car or anything like that, you know that primer is very important. If you haven't, the reason we need primer is because paint doesn't like to adhere to this stuff. Instead, we need to put a primer on it, which is designed to adhere to this, and then we can paint on the primer because the paint's going to adhere well to the primer. It's basically a middle layer here. If you put paint straight on metal, it's not going to cover very well, you're going to have issues, it's all around just a problem. So, for priming, what I have here is a priming stick, so 1x2, and some double-sided mounting tape. What I'm going to do, I'm going to spread the mounting tape all over this stick. And what I'm going to do then is take the models and place them with some reasonable separation along the tape. Now in this case I'm not going to quite have enough room for everybody, I don't think. Yeah, it looks like we're going to get all the metal ones and maybe? Keep some decent spacing. Yeah, we got just barely enough room for everybody on the one priming stick. Now what this does is do it slowly, but you can rotate the models. This allows you to prime under them. The primer itself that I'm going to be using, you don't need anything fancy. This is some Rust-Oleum I got at Walmart. Well, the only thing that matters is it says primer, and it's suitable for plastic and metal. This stuff is fairly cheap. I use it a fair bit. I point that out because I've got this can of Citadel Grey Seer here. Nowhere on this can does it call itself a primer. It is a spray paint and undercoat. It's kind of important because this, especially applied over metal models, isn't going to give you the same level of adhesion as this is. Now, you can totally do this first and then spray this, but just this, particularly on metal, isn't going to go very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside and I'm going to prime these. Make sure it's a reasonably nice day, not a ton of humidity, not too hot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray the models at about a 45-degree angle here, a 45-degree angle from the bottom, come at them from the side and the back, and then switch hands, repeat the process, and then close off with one shot over the top. That's going to get primer over pretty much the entire model. Don't worry about getting a incredibly perfect coat, just as long as you've got at least even a light dusting of primer over the entire model. So, like I said, primer, make sure it is actually primer. Make sure it says primer on the can. The other stuff can work okay, especially if you're working on plastic. If it's metal, resin it can work on, but if it's metal in particular, you need an actual primer. I use this stuff on every single model, no matter what. You can always go back with a lighter primer. Here's a good example of a miniature I've got for Prepship Press's Warcaster game. The trick where it's getting darker is actually the priming, but it started black. I actually went to the Grey Seer and then hit it with some white. This process is called zenithal priming, by the way. So, I'm going to come back when these models are primed, and just as a note here, don't mess with the models while they're drying. give the primer, you know, a good 20-30 minutes to do its job. And I like to let it cure overnight just before I start painting. So with that, guys, have a good one, and I will catch you later.
Hey, this is Dave. If you like what we're doing here at What Game Now, go ahead and click on one of the videos, which should be on either side of me, or click right in the middle and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the bell once you subscribe so that you know when we have new videos. Please go ahead and share us with your friends. Let everybody know that we're here. Thank you for watching, and thank you for all of our subscribers already. And we look forward to bringing you more content every chance that we get.